So a few weeks ago, as some of you know, Miles and I were in Peru and we were hiking Machu Picchu. And it took a long time to get there. Not only did we have to fly to Lima, from Lima we had to fly to Cusco. From Cusco we had to take a 2-hour drive to a train. And then after the train, we were dropped off at, kilometer 106. And then we hiked 8 hours, and then finally we got to Machu Picchu, and at the end it was so beautiful and everything was so worth it. But then I turned to Miles and I said, we lived in New York City for a decade, and for that decade we lived about 1 hour from Ellis Island, and I have never been to Ellis Island. But we just spent close to a week getting to Machu Picchu. And I don't think that this phenomenon is so rare. Now we've lived in Philadelphia for 2 years. There are so many hiking trails that would have taken 20 minutes to get to, and we haven't hiked them, but yet we traveled, again, all of this time to get to Machu Picchu, and there are plenty of other sites that we could have been to. I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but I'm saying that this is a phenomenon that is a deeply human tendency that I find pretty interesting. That phenomenon is that when you're proximate to something, it doesn't guarantee that you will be present with it. I think that the closer something is, the easier it becomes to truly stop seeing it or to never find the time to see it. And the way that I described it just now is as a physical problem, but our Parsha suggests that it can also become a spiritual problem. We know that every occupation has its occupational hazards, and one of the hazards of being a rabbi, which I think is also a hazard of being an involved layperson, is that constantly being here in shul, or always, volunteering at shul or being an active lay leader, can mean that our most sacred moments begin to flatten. The things that we touch most often are the things that we are most at risk of no longer truly seeing. And there's one throwaway line that talks about the sons of Kahat in our Parsha, a family of Levites who carry the holiest objects of the Mishkan. So from place to place, they carry the Aron, they carry the menorah, they carry the table, they carry the altars, everything that is the very center of the Israelite spiritual life. This responsibility is a huge honor, but it's also their entire identity. The Torah knows this danger, whether it's a physical danger that you're proximate to Ellis Island or a spiritual danger that you are in shul all the time, and how can we daven yet again, that proximity can endanger presence. And so what does it do? It institutes a condition that before the Kahat people, touch the objects that they must carry, Aaron and the Kohanim must first cover every single object. The Torah says to do this, Lo yavo lirot kvala et hakodesh. They must not see the sacred things as they are being swallowed up. These aren't outsiders. They aren't our enemies. These are the exact people who know exactly how to live the life of the Mishkan. So what is going to be swallowed up? What is the danger that the Torah foresees? What's so threatening about that moment? The moment between the sacred objects being carried, between the holy objects being packed, that the Torah says you could be swallowed up. The idea of covering, it's not foreign to Jews. We cover our eyes when we say the Shema to really focus on God's oneness. Before a wedding, a bride is veiled, covered, because before she stands under the chuppah with her partner, there's a moment of separation, of intention, of saying what we are about to do is not ordinary. It is extraordinary. It is special. So when we cover something, we're not hiding. We can cover it to declare our holiness. So I think that this danger that the people of Kahat, the sons of Kahat, couldn't cover the objects themselves could be understood in two ways. The first way is a pretty straightforward reading. The Aron is too holy to be seen uncovered. Inappropriate access to seeing the Aron can be lethal. We see that after Moshe sees God on Har Sinai. He has to wear a veil for the rest of his life because he had seen the holiest of holy and he was blinded by it. So don't get too close to something that's too holy. Don't look directly at it. The holiness itself is the danger. But Ibn Ezra reads it differently. He says that this word swallowing up can actually be translated as covering something or wrapping it up. So the danger isn't seeing the Aron exposed for all of its glory. The danger is seeing the Aron being covered. One of my teachers, Rabbi Aviva Richman, asks why Ibn Ezra thinks that covering something up could be dangerous. And she says, when sacred things are being packed up, being wrapped, being prepared for transit, a subtle shift can happen. She says, what happens to a community when the holiest thing that they carry begins to look like luggage? And I want to suggest that this isn't an abstract question. This is the question of anyone who has ever been close to seeing something sacred for a long time. The sons of Kahat were not occasional visitors. They were there every day. They knew every corner of the Mishkan. They knew how heavy the Aron was. They knew exactly how many people it took to carry it. And that was precisely the danger. Because familiarity, it's not neutral. It does something to us. It's very useful. We can't function without being familiar with something. But it also has a cost. The closer we are to something, the more we risk relating it to purely on a level of mechanics. I purposely am giving this Dvar Torah right now because even though we are celebrating Ethel's 90th birthday, we're all pretty much regulars here. There's no bar mitzvah, there's no extra 150 people. It's just us. It's the people who are here for 2 committee meetings a week and who also helped make the Bab Kado and clean up, who picked up your kids from religious school, who prepared Shabbat dinner last night. We're like the sons of Kahat. Not because we love Jewish life less than anyone else, but because we see behind the curtain constantly. For us, Jewish life is never just a beautiful moment. It's never just 10 hours away. It's the preparation, it's the logistics, it's the cleanup, and it's our commitment to being here all the time. But there's an occupational hazard that comes with devotion. It's not cynicism and it's not rebellion. It's a lot quieter. Rabbi Aviva Richman puts it in these terms that at least happen to me many times a week. When we roll the Torah, or when I take out the Torah to practice it with a bar mitzvah student, I open the ark without ceremony. I just open it, we place the Torah on the table, we open it, we glance at the words, there's no blessings, there's no music, there's no rising, there aren't 150 people in the room. So suddenly, the Torah feels like an access point to the divine. Suddenly the Torah feels less like an access point to the divine and more like an object that somebody spent a lot of time writing on and that we check, year after year and make sure that it is still as special as it was before, even though it becomes a little bit mundane. So when I see the Torah during the week, it's the same Torah, but I see it with different eyes. The Torah is still there, it's just not as holy as it is when we read it here together with all of us on Shabbat. The Talmud tells a story about this. In Masechet Yoma, the Talmud tells that the pilgrims who came to the Beit HaMikdash on holidays were shown one special thing. They were shown the kruvim, the figures that were on top of the ark that embrace one another. And the Kohanim said to them, "See how beloved you are before God." It's a little bit like a show because the Kohanim see the kruvim every day. But for the people who came just on holidays, they get to see exactly how beloved they are before God. That's the destination. We all hope that we can see time and time again how close we are to the holiness, how close we are to the Kruvim. But when we arrive there, even after all of the carrying, we still have to see what we're holding. Even though we're here week after week, we have to not become strangers to Jewish life. We have to not step back from this work. We need this example of the sons of Kahat. We need to be the people who carry the weight every single day, but also who find these moments of covering. Also who find these moments that even 4 times a year, the Kruvim are still special. This idea is not new. Heschel describes it, and we hear about it all the time, this idea of radical amazement. And he describes that it's not a spontaneous emotion. It is pure discipline. And I think that that's exactly what the Torah teaches us from the sons of Kahat. We can't distance ourselves from holiness precisely because we practice it all the time. We need to expand our capacity for wonder. And how do we do this? I don't know the answer, so it's precisely why I'm bringing it here today, but I have some ideas. Before Shabbat dinner, maybe it's a moment of stillness before we rush through Kiddush, or before we open the ark, really taking a breath, even though that becomes so routine. Before we sit in this room again, probably tomorrow for the gala, we recognize that it is not ordinary to sit in this room. It is so special and beautiful to sit in this room. The Aron in the desert was not in danger when the enemies threatened it. It was in danger when the people who loved it most forgot what they're carrying. We too are the sons of Kahat. The question the Torah leaves us with is not whether we'll keep showing up, it's how we will continue to keep showing up and whether we will see that we are also here. Shabbat Shalom.